What's going on, everybody? Everybody out there in podcast land. This is G-Man in the Matterhorn studio with the beautiful Kel for What's the Matter podcast. Episode 52. What's the matter with Idiocracy, Kel? How you doing, sweetie?
I'm doing great.
You doing good?
Yes.
We're a little frazzled today.
Sorry, I had to go to the bathroom.
Not you. No, we had the AC.
Yeah, we're having weird problems.
Just so we'll get through it. We'll get through it. So episode 52, what's the matter with Idiocracy? Last week I don't know how we came upon this. Who knows how we come upon our subjects, right?
Right.
It's like this secret of the universe, I think, thing going on. But Idiocracy, I don't know, maybe it's because I've been driving a lot and being in traffic and just being out in public a little bit more the last few weeks. And so, doing that little people watching thing. But what we're going to be doing today is using that movie that you referenced, a very rare thing. Yeah, you reference it often, but it's a very rare thing when we talk about a movie and you've actually seen one.
Right.
So, but we're going to ask, are we as a people, as a society, are we truly getting dumber? Or are we building systems that reward dumb behavior?
Yeah.
Right? That's one question. And so this episode, as you're going to see and find out today, it explores this, we'll certainly hit on a kind of a scholastic decline. I think that we all notice.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen a decline in public discourse. Mm-hmm. We've seen
critical thinking.
Yeah. We've seen a decline in our media habits, right? I could even say that my attention span is not as probably good as it used to be when I was younger.
Right. Just a couple of years ago, even for me.
Yeah.
I didn't used to scroll. I didn't used to spend much time on Facebook. I hated short form video.
Yeah. No, and we'll get into this. I can tell that you're anxious. This is going to be a topic that you're going to probably enjoy. We'll also talk about some, I call it anti-intellectual culture.
Yes.
And then we'll talk about
what the hell is that?
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the difference between intelligence, wisdom, education, judgment, things like that. So our block one, let's talk about this. So Idiocracy. So let's talk about the movie. And for those that have not seen it, I would suggest that you do it. This thing was made in 2006, if I recall. And as you pointed out, Mike Judge was the brains behind this.
Yeah.
And so Idiocracy, is it satire, is it a prophecy, or is it a warning label? That's kind of, the question that we're framing here today. Are we getting dumber or just getting more distracted, as I mentioned? And so I know that one thing, when it first came out, I laughed my ass off. It was pretty fun. I like that kind of sense of humor, sometimes that goofy type of humor where you can just, again, you don't have to be too serious about something when you're watching it, right? But it's supposed to be a comedy, and the uncomfortable part is how often it now feels like a damn documentary, right? With product placement and stuff. So first and foremost, before I forget, let's go ahead and give a shout out to the sponsor of the show, World Matters Incorporated, and creator and producer of the show, Big Bongo Productions. So let's talk about the movie framework real quick. So tell us about your history with Idiocracy. When did you remember when you first saw it? Was it when it first came out?
Just a couple months ago.
For the first time?
Uh-huh.
Holy shit, Kel.
Yeah.
Now, what prompted this?
I don't do much media entertainment.
Yeah, but where were you?
I was at home.
Okay.
And I have a free subscription to Paramount Plus through my Walmart Plus subscription.
Okay.
And I wasn't dicking around online, and I thought, let's just see what's out there, see if there's something to watch.
Yeah, a little mind candy.
Yeah.
Just something
and it popped up, and I thought, I really ought to finally just see that.
Why? What was the pull?
I I'd been meaning to for a long time.
Because you'd heard about it?
Of course, I'd heard about it.
Yeah.
I hear people reference it.
Yeah.
You know, I had an idea of what it was about and how and what it was like and all that, but didn't know the actual story or any of that stuff. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's do this. And I just sat in bed and watched it. And I was like, wow, like stunned.
Now you're getting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so give
Scary.
us, it's not a Siskel and Ebert, but give us the Kel.
I loved it. I thought it was great. It was really well done. Mike Judge he's a fabulous producer. I mean, he's really good. Office Space is one of my all-time favorite movies ever. And that was his too. And, but I kind of, after it ended, I kind of just sort of sat there staring at my computer screen for a minute, just going, wow.
Scary, huh?
It was scary. Because
Well,
I mean,
that's 20
at the time,
20 years ago now.
Yeah, 20 years. At the time, I didn't feel this way. I didn't see this trajectory. I saw the trajectory, but not as bad or as fast as it's going.
Yeah, because we're 5 years removed from
And
the
I thought-
Y2K.
Yeah, I
right?
thought we had a chance to fix it. I really thought we were going to fix it. I did not expect it to the world to shitify the way it has. I really didn't.
to come closer to the the real like now it's more like real life.
Right. I mean, the amount of predictive programming that we have and the fact that like nothing has been done. We have so many of us have known and seen this stuff for decades and tried to do something about it, and nobody fucking listened. And now they all want to bitch. They all want to get out on their little podcasts and get out on their little YouTubes and their TikToks.
Now, when you say
And
nobody,
go, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. We fucking told you.
but when you say nobody listened,
No.
like who's everybody that you're referring to? Nobody listened.
Anybody, mostly the boomers, because they were above us. They were the ones pushing it all down.
It seemed like they were complaining the most.
Right.
You know, because the
as
reading,
they
writing,
were
and
creating the agenda.
No, I'm talking about the when they're complaining about the dumbing down of America. It was
Oh, no,
because
that's not
they were
when-
complaining about that the school systems were not spitting out people who could any longer read, write.
They were the
and-
ones running the school systems.
Well, yeah. I mean, in what was it? In 1980, the Department of Education pretty much took over.
Right.
Yeah.
Created
And
by
so,
Jimmy Carter in the 70s.
I don't know that it's fair to like blame the whole collapse of the educational system on boomers, even though I'm at the end of the boomer and I relate more to Gen X. You know, I would say that it was probably a collective blindness.
Well, of course it was.
But over
they should have seen it because the plan was already in place and being escalated during their era.
When you say they,
The boomers.
the boomers should have seen
this. They should have seen this programming,
But
and
that's
they
what
bought
I'm saying.
it hook, line, and sinker.
No, they did see it, and they were the ones that were complaining the most.
Most of them still believe in the government and voting. They're the ones who are still keeping this
Well,
red blue thing going.
Now again, we find our exit ramp. When stuff like this happens, because I'm not saying that you're wrong, but again, just to categorize again a whole generation of people as being one when those, I mean, they're, to your point, they're 50-50. You see what I'm saying, as a red-blue dynamic. And so, yeah.
But it's just the fact that it even still exists and that fight keeps going.
I think it's somewhere in the middle.
Is because somehow they
what
think
you've said, it's all of our part.
Of course. I mean, it's easy to use totalizing language.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying though, because like we were the adults in the room, say so to speak, in 1980. Even though in 1980 I hadn't even graduated from high school.
Oh, not us. We weren't.
But what I'm saying though is,
parents were.
Think about that, right? Because I'm technically a boomer, and in 1980, when the Department of Education came into being. In prominence, I was still a kid, right, and so and then right now, at least in this, just for argument's sake, in this, I'm being blamed as being an overseer of it when I was a kid too. So it may have went a little further back.
Wouldn't be of course, but the early part of the boomers, yeah,
and then the last 50 years. We've all been subject to the BS of the quagmire of our government, not just our government. And again, we've talked before, not to go down that rabbit hole, but my way of making it through mentally, emotionally, is I've come to the conclusion, like it or not, that we are all part of a collective tax farm. It just all depends on what part of the farm we live on. You know, every country that's under the Federal Reserve is part of the, you know, again, it's mob shit, right?
Yeah, it is. It's basically,
and so that's the analogy that I always use. And so control what we can control, which is first and foremost ourselves. Make sure we're a good person, no matter, you know, what your beliefs are. Even like, you know, Jesus, you know, you know, as a example, right? His teachings were pretty simple, right?
Absolutely.
Treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated. And you see these 10 rules right here. If you follow them, man, I mean, you're going to probably
just kinda works
you're going to
out.
stay out of trouble. You know, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple.
The problem is, those are great concepts and
Generalities
and things that we all should follow, but everybody doesn't.
There's evil in this world. There's always going to be a percentage of evil. We're not going to be able to do anything about it, you know, whether it's from mental issues or whether they're just plain evil. Sometimes there's just people that are bad. But back to Idiocracy. So the discussion today is not just, we're not trying to say people are dumb, right? What we're trying to do is that we want to kind of join the joke of Idiocracy to me, and that is that the systems that are here, they are rewarding dumbness.
Yes.
Right. And so we're going to talk about a lot of things. So here's first, let me finish up with the movie. So what made the movie funny to you? Because you had to
There
laugh
were parts of it that were, you know, slapstick,
right?
You know, and you're just kind of eye roll, you know,
especially by yourself,
by myself. Yeah. But I caught the under theme quick and was just more gobsmacked through the whole thing, just going, holy shit.
Well, 20 years of people telling you about it too.
Yeah.
Right.
And having seen just how badly far we've come
right.
in that time when we were on the right track, and how it got so fucking inverted. Is like,
so this begs the question, what makes it uncomfortable now?
Because it's accurate. It's happening.
Like contrast 20 years ago, what's happened in the last 20 years? Would you be able to identify something specifically?
The internet.
The internet? I can't remember. That wasn't a big part of the movie though, was it?
No, but that's what's created that is what is enabled and accelerated what's going on.
Interesting. Okay.
Manipulable, access to manipulable information.
What part of the movie, if you can remember, felt the least exaggerated today? Because you got Terry Crews, the president, you know, and he's just over the top, which makes it hilarious. But
yeah,
in a way, Orange Man is the same way, because I'm telling you, sometimes I listen to him ramble on, and sometimes he'll say some, he was having a press conference the other day, and this guy started in his cabinet or some whoop whoop de doo, right? And he's just like, 122 years ago, Einstein.
Nobody cares.
No, yeah,
all those idiots laughed.
All those
fucking idiots laughed.
I laughed too.
No, please.
I did. I laughed.
It's not funny.
Well, I mean, it was.
First of all,
funny.
it's purely no, it wasn't. It was purely disrespectful. The man was trying to speak.
Why did I laugh though? Why did I laugh?
Because you have a very childish mindset at your core.
Yeah. No, here's why. I think that everybody that typically, first of all, I don't like politicians. I don't like them.
Right.
I don't like the profession. I don't respect them at all. I think they're parasites. Okay, so that is a qualifier. The reason I laughed is because everybody that's on TV like that and those cabinets and stuff, not to say, I'm not trying to diminish, I guess, the importance of the position that they take, but they sometimes don't treat it the way that it should be treated through scandals, abuse, or whatever. Right. And so I think they just are too big for their britches. They put their pants on the same way.
No question.
And so when the clown in chief does kind of do his goober thing, sometimes I do laugh because it's so idiocracy-ish.
But it's not funny. That's the problem.
Well, I
and
mean,
it just encourages. I mean, he is functionally 5 years old,
yeah, I agree.
and he's an example,
Yeah.
and so.
But remember, like the way that you're feeling right now, they do that on purpose. Like the way that you feel about the puppet. That's why I didn't like he was nothing to me before he became president.
Right.
And it's just again, it's to me, it's I watch this as a show. Every time I see that shit, it's a Hunger Games episode. So in episode
Unfortunately, it's directly affecting our lives.
Yeah,
it didn't used
episode 347, Orange Man made an off-the-cuff remark about this guy about doing statistics, right? And there is some truth in what was, and I think maybe that's what made it funny. Because when people start going off on statistics, like politicians
It
often
wasn't a
do,
statistic. He was trying to tell a story and make a point using Einstein.
Right.
He got a little lost on the date,
right?
and Trump had to get his little boy penis in there and
Yeah.
mess it all up.
Yeah.
The guy was trying to make a fucking point that was
Yeah.
so disrespectful. I don't care who he is.
Yeah.
You're in a.
I get what you're saying.
You're in a situation. You're in a public situation.
Well, there's supposed to be some prestige to it. There's supposed to be some honor and dignity to the office, right?
Yeah, I mean, at least some professionalism.
But Bill Clinton got that fucked up by having his dick sucked.
But nobody saw that.
But it still happened.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm talking about people are viewing this, watching this fucking 80-year-old asshole
Just calm down there.
act like a
Did you-
3-year-old
but did you hear
to a grown-ass
but
man on
listen-
his staff.
But listen to what you just said there. You said it doesn't matter that the president of the United States gets his dick sucked in the Oval Office. You just
I don't
said
give a
that.
fuck.
That's what I'm saying. So it's
Bill
okay
Clinton's
for
the only one
thing.
who got caught.
So it's that's another point.
It's his house, whatever.
as far as like JFK, or you think
I
that
couldn't
it
care
hasn't
less.
happened, and that's what my point is. Like I really can't care less because it doesn't affect my life. I don't allow it to affect my life.
Right.
If anything affects my life, and you think, oh, the president's
It's
messing
not
up our
about
lives,
us.
it's going to be.
It's not
for,
about us. It's about the people that watch him and mirror, who don't know any better.
Yeah.
We know better. It's not about us.
I don't see very many people mirroring him.
Oh, I do.
Like who?
Like you don't see people like online and like flaming each other out and acting like little 3-year-olds.
But it's on both sides. That's what I'm saying. So for some reason, again,
right.
so like
it's
both
not.
of us.
This isn't a left or right thing. This
both of us.
This is a behavioral thing.
But that's what I'm saying is like because between the two of us, I could give a shit about him.
Right.
And it seems like you have a sincere like.
It's not about him. It's about his behavior. It's what he represents.
See, now that's
to
what
people.
I'm talking about.
I don't give a fuck about him.
That's what I'm talking about.
Anybody in that position doing that, I would feel the same exact way.
And that's what we're talking about today is behavior, right? It's there's a lot of things. So again, I apologize, people that may be listening to this. This is why we try to stay away from politics.
Yeah,
And
there's nothing
like this lady right here can get very emotional.
I do. There are
And
certain
so
things that,
this is why I don't want to let them have that kind of control over me. If I'm getting emotional about something, I want it to be worth it, right? Because it's costing me. It's costing me energy. It's you're the one that know all the words for all the things that go on inside your body.
Oh, yeah.
So the dude doesn't even know you. He doesn't know me. So I ain't giving him that kind of power. I'll joke, you know what I mean? And so again, I guess the whole thing is so yes, for like 10 years or however long, there's been many multitude of times where his behavior wasn't very presidential, and so, but not defending him, but there's been plenty of examples of, to your point, where our presidents aren't being very presidential, whether it's in private or whether it's the good old boys, and we just don't see that, right? And so in this case, what's not setting you off, but perturbing you, is it's done in the public forum.
exactly.
Where I think that just they're people like us. And they also ascend to their positions without really the qualifications that they should probably have. They get greased in.
That's our problem.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem.
So
It
that's
didn't
why I
used
don't.
to be
That's why
this way.
I don't put them on the high horse.
Oh no, I don't. I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't even vote anymore. I don't watch the
That's
news. I
right.
have no idea what's going on. I see these little snippets,
Right.
and I think of the hundreds of millions of people that are watching him.
Right.
That get influenced by that and take it as permission. Oh well,
Yeah,
Donald
oh.
Trump does it.
I see what you're saying.
That's
now.
what. That's
Now, I
the
wouldn't
thing.
go that
It's
far.
modeling.
Like, yeah, who wants to be like that? I mean,
That you would be surprised.
Yeah.
You would be surprised. I sure am.
Yeah.
The Manosphere. Look at the Manosphere. Every single one of them is like that.
right?
There's a culture around it now.
Yeah.
And it's pervasive.
So let's define this idiocracy stuff, though, for the show today. So not necessarily the movie, but our idiocracy that we'll be kind of delving down today is a culture where attention beats accuracy
Absolutely.
and confidence beats competence and entertainment beats wisdom. That's our idiocracy. So, right, like after having recently watched that movie and really kind of like what we were just beating down right now.
Yep.
Right. It was about all of that.
Yeah. Oh, no
It
question.
was about all of that because
Every
in
bit
that
of it.
moment, Orange Man, he definitely, why would you interrupt anybody like that unless you're wanting attention?
Exactly. It's
Can't
that
get
narcissistic
enough
supply.
He even
needs.
says, talking about his family, there can only be one star in our family. He says this outright, right? So,
Wow.
I mean, and this
Wow.
to me,
And we wonder.
this to me, like talk about being broke, right? First time again against Hillary, I would have lost everything. There's no way he's going to win, right? And then after it happened, and then we lived with those 4 years. Again, mistakes. You can always break that down. But after 4 years, outside of the clowning around, I was just like, man, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, right? Not counting nowadays, but it seemed that we were keeping our military from harm's way and stuff like that. Boy, have things changed on that one. And then, so the way that I look at the kind of picture is just like, you guys are so bad, right? That once again, this dude was elected, okay, because of what happened in the previous 4 years following COVID and all that stuff. Or out of 8 billion people, you're telling me the best that you could come up is what you came up with, right? And so it's your own fault. Like you should be able to come up with solutions, policies, another person out of 8 billion people.
That's what
Otherwise,
tells you
this
it's
is
an
what we're
agenda.
left with. What's that?
It's not what we're left with. This is very purposely planned.
Well, I mean, again, planned. Everything is planned, yes, because that's the whole thing. The puppet is what they have us focus on. That's what we're talking about right now. So we're not talking about that higher level stuff. You're talking about controlled opposition where it doesn't matter who's in the office. They are owing to the people with the money. They're owing to the people that print the money. So I agree with you on that. But just dumb it down a little bit. Dumb it down a little bit. As far as the people that do vote, okay, the man came back into power, okay, and because in those 4 years they screwed it up so bad, it was like teed up to like for him to never come back again. You think of it like that.
He's a convicted criminal.
Well,
He's been convicted.
They're all criminals to me.
I know.
And if and this is the whole thing too, where again, I'm not a fan of his, but watching the show where I have zero allegiance, like I'm just watching like a movie play out, a plot, right? And so you watch without any kind of loyalty or unity to either party, okay? And the reason that the population voted for him the second time, think of it like this. How come every one of those charges came up? His popularity went up.
Because we're not in charge of how the stats get put up there. Media manipulation. It's not true.
Well, I mean, he somehow got back into the office when the powers didn't want him to. I mean, the powers on the lower bottom, right? So have you ever heard of that book, The Adventures of Baron Trump? It was written in 1914.
Yeah.
Ooh, like the way that you, as far as like other people kind of pulling the mechanisms and stuff like that, read that book. It'll blow your mind. Yeah. It's almost like a foretelling of the future because now there's actual Barron Trump, but they're talking about somebody that was elected back in 1914, and he was a populist and came up and kind of rocked the boat and stuff like that. So something that was over 100 years ago. So it's kind of like there's some conspiracies, just like what you're talking about, you know. So my whole thing is like, who knows? Way above my pay grade, right? Control what I can here on Earth. We only got a short time here. So last thing I'm going to do is want to spend a lot of time talking about politicians and the shenanigans, you know, that they pull and everything. But I would like to talk about people. I love talking about people that are on the ground here in the tax farm, you know, eating the hay, you know, wondering when we're, you know, going to be able to get that open fence to roam around a little bit, you know, instead of being
to
in
me,
a pen.
This is what pisses me off, because it's not a matter of waiting around for somebody to open the door. When the fuck are we going to stand up and bust it down?
I'm being metaphorical. Maybe we'll do What's the Matter with the Revolution? But let's break this down. So think about those 4 words. So how we defined our idiocracy conversation today. So the intelligence part, right? So our intelligence in general is the ability to solve problems. Education is the knowledge and skills required to solve problems. Wisdom is judgment and timing. Right? Because that comes into play sometimes. You may know how to solve a problem, but maybe it's not the right time to solve the problem. Maybe you got to do other things first before you really get to work on it. And then, of course, that leads into the discernment of knowing what deserves your belief, energy, or actions. And that's kind of like what we're talking about right now, right? That's pretty much it. So I think you'll love this. Being educated doesn't automatically make you wise.
Oh, not even close.
And being loud definitely doesn't make you right.
Oh, certainly not.
Right? And so let's go back to 1979, right? 1979. So I was 15?
I was 11.
16, somewhere around there. You were having fun still then. Like as far as like an 11-year-old. 11 was a great age. I loved 11.
Yeah, I was still, it was weird for me. It was a weird time. Because I was always older than my age. Well, you know what I mean? Like I was always mature for my age.
You were forced to be mature.
I was forced to be an adult.
Right.
And that was such a nebulous time period. Like you're not quite a child, but you're not quite an adolescent yet.
So for you, maybe think like 10 years later then. So my 1979 is your 1989. Okay, so let's go from that.
Okay.
As far as like about where we are in our age.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And so so the question is, have we around that time, so have we slipped compared to the high water mark, let's say around the late 70s,
oh, absolutely.
mid 80s, right?
Academics was still a thing.
Yeah.
Well, see, I was in the system. My mother was a teacher in it for 30 years. I was immersed in it for most of my life. So I knew it intimately because she was special programs.
Right.
So I got to see beyond the day-to-day normal K through 12 and how they created programs.
Right. Have you heard of the Flynn effect relating to IQ, intelligence quotient? So the Flynn effect is the average IQ test scores. Well, actually, here is the Flynn effect. Average IQ test scores rose through much of the 20th century. A 2014 meta-analysis describes the Flynn effect as the observed rise in IQ scores over time. So the Flynn effect is, right, so you can see this over time. Some later research shows that the slowing or reversal in certain countries, and they have a /cohort, right? Or a Norwegian study found scores rose for birth cohorts up to the mid-1970s and decline for cohorts born after 1975. Wow. Right? So as we're going to going down this rabbit hole. So attributing the change more to environmental factors than genetics, right? This is
100%.
Thank you.
100%.
Okay, so we're on that. So it doesn't have to do with genetics, right? It's all about our environment.
Nope.
So the better question is not are we genetically dumber? Which we're kind of
No, our genetics haven't changed much at all in the last 300,000 years.
Right. The question is what has changed in the environment, in our environment.
Yep.
Right. So possible causes to explore. So comment on these. I think we've already hit on this right now. So our education quality. So when we were back in school, reading, writing, and arithmetic.
It was a priority.
It was
Like
everything.
big. It was
That's
it. I mean,
all
I
we
was in
did.
trouble if I didn't make the honor roll.
We did so much of that. All we did was look forward to lunch and recess.
But it was almost over.
we,
To the point where we were, some of us rebelled against. I didn't. But
was
some
cracking-
rebelled against it.
It was cracking whips.
I think that's what broke it. I think that's what broke it because we as Gen X got cracked on so hard. Some of us went stupid. We went, oh, fuck you. We're not going to do that.
Yeah, overboard.
And hurt ourselves.
Well, because you don't realize, like we don't realize when we're younger, like even though the techniques and the methods and the motivations are different for all parents and stuff like that, everybody still kind of raised their kids the way
There was
they
a
were
same
raised. And there
page
was
kind of feel,
it was built in.
Yeah.
It's like we did
everybody
it.
Just
You got to
and
do
you got ostracized if you didn't.
or it was harder to find a job later on if you didn't have your high school diploma.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
And, so educational quality. We're going to explore a little bit about reading habits. Now I know you're passionate about this because you're a big reader. We talk about screen distraction. You actually had to consciously, sounds like you had to pull yourself away, from being on your computer a little bit to kind of, even though you went to another screen.
Right.
Right.
Different
and
input.
I'm proud of you because you didn't have a TV before.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. And so
I watched it on the computer.
there you go.
Yeah.
So weaker attention spans. We talked about that. I think that's across the board.
Yeah.
Even for
And I think the emergence of, the neurodivergent recognition of neurodivergence in a lot of us that were just beaten to death for being stupid or not complying or whatever. And now we realize we couldn't.
Right.
But I think there's a lot of that coming up too, where, a lot of us are kind of dealing with the fact that, we got dragged over something that wasn't even our fault,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so I think there's a lot of that coming up. And now as people are recognizing our signs and symptoms, what we went through and had to suppress, they're allowing it now. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to integrate it in balance, we went too far and suppressed everything. Now it's like kind of anything goes, let it all hang out, and that doesn't work either.
Yeah, because a lot of the rebels then went ahead and had kids,
right?
And the rebels probably passed on a lot of that rebellious.
There is a genetic component to neurodivergence for sure.
Well, in the environment, right?
And then the environment makes it worse.
And if you had, again, like, say you have parents, boomer parents, and they are a go with the flow approach, right? I'm teaching you what I taught here. And then so you have, say, the end of Gen X with that rebelling, saying, F this, I'm not going to listen to you. I don't got to listen to you. You're not my mom. No, I am your mom.
I was adopted and I didn't get away with that one.
Yeah,
You're not my real parents.
But then the rebels later on did have kids, and they probably didn't migrate backwards. They probably went with some of that rebellious personality as far as their parenting.
Of course.
And so it kind of perpetuated
we
over
broke
time.
the cycle. We're the ones who broke it all.
Yeah. So
but we didn't have a plan for how to keep it together.
Right, exactly. You were just rebelling.
Right.
So now other possible causes to what's changed in the environment is what you're talking about, right? A distrust of expertise. A distrust of expertise. Right. So you're supposed to be the expert in everything. So why isn't everything better?
Well, exactly.
Right?
And it's like, we grew up just thinking that the adults knew what they were doing and they were always in charge and they always knew what was up and they always had their education and they had their this and that and their skills and training and da-da-da-da. And now we realize they had no fucking idea what they were doing. They had no idea.
They were kids raising kids.
When I realized that. I realized that about 20 years ago. And I was just like, holy shit. Like, this is all going to collapse. Because they were fronting so bad and they traumatized us into believing it. And it worked at the time because nobody knew anything. And now that we have access to so much more information and so much more science and so much more fact, it's shattering stuff
Well, and
that
the-
that we were foundational to us.
And so long too. Again, I was 21 for a month when we had our first kid, and and that, as compared to, say, in the mid 1900s, that was they were getting married when they're 15, 16
Because they needed staff.
Yeah.
Kids weren't for love and family. It was because they needed farmhands.
Well, in tradition, yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. And I think we're going to talk about tradition next week, also. But heck, man, we've been pretty heavy, Cal.
Yeah.
We better start
This is a tough topic.
getting a little laughing crickets going in here to kind of bust it up a little bit. So, like as we do, we are going to still talk about the theme of the show today, and we're talking about idiocracy. So let's just cut it down to idiots.
Okay.
We're just gonna. So this guy, a guy with a friend, right? They're walking downtown, and so he points to this other guy down the street, and he says, "Hey, look, that's Kevin down there, the town idiot. I'll show you. He's the town idiot because I do this to him every week." He then hollers down to the other guy, "Hey, Kevin! Hey, come down here, man. I got a gift for you." And he's like, "Okay, man. Hey, you get to choose." He goes, "Right here in this hand, I have one $20 bill. And then on this other hand, I have 5 $1 bills. And then which one do you want?" And so Kevin happily grabs the $5 and leaves. So the guy laughs at him, just like, and then, they split up. And later on, this friend of this guy meets Kevin and asks him, why did you pick those $5 bills? You know that he makes fun of you for that, right? And then don't you know that $20 is more than 5 $1 bills? And then Kevin says, "Yeah, I do. But the day that I pick the 20, he's going to stop giving me money."
That was good.
So who's the idiot?
Right?
Okay. Now, what about this one? You were just watching TV. So what about this? A man screams at his TV. He screams at the TV, Cal. "You fucking idiot. Don't walk into that church." And then so his wife comes into the room and says, "Honey, what are you watching?" And he says, "The recording of our wedding."
That's a good one. No, don't do it. Don't do it.
Talk about flashbacks,
That's
right? Okay, this one. So this woman, she's 3 months pregnant, and she falls into this deep coma, and she wakes up after about 10 months. The woman asks the doctor about her baby because the baby's not there, right? And so the doctor says, "You had twins, a boy and a girl, and they're both fine, and your brother named them for you." She's like, "Oh, no, not my brother. He's an idiot." "What did he name the girl?" The doctor says, "Denise." And she's like, "Oh, well, that's kind of actually a nice name. What about the boy?" And the doctor sighs. "He named him the nephew."
My mother had one of her families had a kid. It was a black family, and they named the baby. It was a little girl. They named her Fimali.
Oh.
And my mother said, "Where'd you get that name?" She said, "It was on the door in the hallway." Female for the bathroom.
Oh my goodness. Now we're going to go down to kids. So this 7-year-old son came in from school, and he asked his dad. He says, "Hey, Dad, what kind of a mouse can walk on 2 legs?" "I don't know," the dad says. "Mickey Mouse," the little kid says. "Hey, Dad, what kind of a duck can walk on 2 legs?" Dad says, "Donald Duck." And then the kid says, "No, all ducks walk on 2 legs, you idiot." Man, I may have got to spank him when I was 7 if I said that. Oh, all right. Last one. Grandkid says, "Why did the chicken cross the road?" Or no, let me just do this with you. So why did the chicken cross the road?
Why?
To get to the idiot's house. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
It's the chicken.
Chicken who?
The chicken from the first joke. All right, that's it.
That's funny.
All right, see, now I feel better. We were getting serious.
Yeah, we were.
We're getting serious. But hey, that's why I want to talk about politics. And I really don't like talking about politics, but sometimes we do.
Sometimes we have to.
Just not on the show. We got to. We're doing pretty good today. It's probably my fault. I'll probably review this, and I'm just like, I'm the one that brought this shit up. Can't blame Cal. Okay, so main matter here. So let's talk about the scholastic case here of are the basics slipping? So reading and math, Cal, not English because I can't talk obviously, but reading and math. So NAEP, their 2024 grade 12 reading report shows the average reading score was 3 points lower than 2019 and 10 points lower than the first reading assessment in 1992. Wow. So, and that's just, and that's 7 years. Wow. And of course now, again, I feel bad for the kids because the COVID thing did not help.
I knew this was going to have a terribly deleterious effect.
So bad.
My mother and I talked about that.
And my daughter, fortunately, I mean, she is a teacher, and so her two kids, you know, she had them, she was on them, you know. So even though that was going on, so they've kind of made it through. But the 2024 grade 12 math report, Kel, do you like math?
I hate math.
Are you good at it?
Terrible at it.
Why? Like,
because they told me that.
Is it the basic math or is it just math in general?
No, it's geometry and trig. I'm good with algebra, logic.
Yeah, good.
Basic math. But I suck at geometry.
Yeah.
It was awful, and I still have a block on it.
You better not become an architect then.
Yeah, no.
But in 2019, so our math score from 2012 is 3 points lower, just like reading. And it was 3 points lower than the first grade math assessment in 2005. So even that right there. So why did the Department of Education start in 1980?
It didn't start in 80. It started. Carter started it.
Founded.
It was implemented in 1980. It was
right.
Like
but
it became a thing. They took charge.
But my point is that we're still talking 1992, the first reading assessment. That's 12 years later. Mm-hmm. For the first reading assessment, and then 2005 for the first math assessment from a department that started 25 years before. That's not right. You see what I'm saying?
That's an abject failure.
Thank you. And
like so, these people need to be called up on it.
And so that's where in the beginning I was saying it's not necessarily the entire group of boomers, but you can say, okay, so we trusted.
They were the ones in charge when this all happened.
Yes, because we trusted.
We trusted them.
Right. And although
they acted like they were in charge.
Well, and they acted like they were qualified, but it's kind of like, again, you put you put people unchecked.
Mm-hmm. Well,
in charge of something
like who guards
like
the key custodian case. I can never remember the phrase, but it's who guards the guards. Quis custodiet, es custodia, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But it's like, and that has always been like, since I was little, I always like, who's watching I always wondered about that. Mm-hmm. Like, how do we know that these
checks
people
and balances and they're again, so I mean, we're seeing proof that, and so when they're saying that we can't say, do away with the Department of Education, see, I'm a big state rights person, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it should be up to the state, not the federal government. Of course it should. Federal government should be helping, but the
federal government should set the overall standard. There needs to be an overall standard.
They kind of do, right? And that's why what they do is, like, if they can take away federal funding, if you don't toe the line.
That's the problem. They shouldn't be setting the agenda and the curriculum. They need to set the structure.
Okay, I got you.
They should not determine.
It should be up to the state.
Yes, but there should be an overall agreed upon by all the states framework of what
reading,
should
writing,
be taught.
and arithmetic. Those three things.
Right.
You're not going to be able to get away from that.
You
got to be able to read and write the language of the country that you're in,
and the culture and the history.
Math is
that we
a universal language. Right. So there's no doubt about that, and all the science, the science and things like that too. There's too much There's too much polarizing, subjective material that has bled into
Right.
our school
Right.
system, right? It's not about school. It's about teaching
Agenda.
them
It's
what they
about-
believe. And it shouldn't be that way. I don't care if it's politics. I don't care if it's religion. You shouldn't be pushing that shit on the kids.
Well, of course not.
But it's happening.
Because the
it's
people who run things need it that way.
right. Oh, and they promote it and they make it easier for it to happen.
Of course.
You know, so again, but we can, man, we're having a hard time not getting,
You can't help it with this subject. It's not your fault. It's the subject is, I mean, most of the idiocracy comes from the government.
So I'm going to hit this again. So I know, and I know you agree. So is this kids getting dumber or the system's getting worse at teaching focus, discipline, and fundamentals? Obviously, right? Both. So, because of the result of one, the kids are getting dumber.
I think the curriculum has purposely been dumbed down.
I guess my point after doing this research is that it's the easiest thing is for us, if a kid can't read, right, do arithmetic, the easiest thing is for us to assume, oh, that kid's dumb. But they could be smart, but they just haven't had the environment. They haven't been part of a correct system.
That's not even the point. I mean, that's a given. That's a given. I mean, I got screwed because they told me I was in English and
it's a given for you, but this is what I'm saying is that when I hear talking heads, right, talk about the degradation of our educational system, it's not because the kid is necessarily genetically
Oh, no, it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It's all about the foundations they've been given at home.
And the system.
The capacity they have. And
well, that's part of the environment.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is it's not, the kids are the kid. I mean, the kids are the pool that they are.
Right.
And they have the capacity they have. That capacity can be expanded if it's done the right way educationally. It can also be completely shut down. And like I said, I was told, oh, you're not good at math and science. You're an English person.
That's programming right there.
Total.
It's programming you
It
for
fucked
failure.
me.
Yeah, it's programming you for
Fucked
failure.
me. Absolutely, it did. But they were big into the left brain, right brain thing back then, which they also got completely wrong.
That's true.
And oh, you're a right brainer, so you're an English and music person. You're not. You can't do math and science. You're not good at math and
Where
science.
you can do it all. They should have said you can do anything you put your mind to. You got the capacity to do whatever you put your mind to and whatever you're willing to work towards.
It's shocking to me to see just how badly my mother hobbled me so many times, where it would have just, if it would have just gone slightly the other direction, I would be such a raging success by now.
Yeah, you are a raging success.
No, I mean,
It's just,
real.
it depends on what you're comparing it to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, adult skills. So let's go bring it beyond the school. So, OECD, which is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development,
yeah.
right? And it's an international organization that compares economic, education, workforce, and social data across countries, right? So it's not just exclusive here to the United States. And then the NCES is the National Center for Education Statistics, and this is the main federal United States agency for collecting and reporting education data. So these two similar but separate. And one's for the world, one's for the U.S. So the OECD's 2023 survey of adult skills, I'm talking about now, not kids, found that U.S. adults, 16 to 65, so technically they are still younger, but they average 258 in literacy, 249 in numeracy, and 247 in adaptive problem solving.
Based on what scale?
You know what? I didn't write those down, but those were lower. They're saying that they were below the OECD average. So in literacy, numeracy, and adaptive problem solving across the board, they're lower.
Declined.
Yep, it's declined.
Jesus.
And that's globally. That's the global organization. Now the U.S. reports, and this is a couple years ago, 2023, only 44% of U.S. adults, 44%, so less than half of the people scored at a level 3 or above in literacy, 38% in numeracy, and 32% in adaptive problem solving.
Oh my God.
So, and it's not just, if you think about it, it's not just, again, people that are necessarily born here, right? So, because these averages reflect, people that come in different places, and it may not be important for them to learn the English language and have command of it if they can get by without having to put forth that effort. So if they can survive and in some cases thrive without having to jump through that hoop, path of least resistance, right? And so, but at the end of the day, all those statistics are going down. So that's, again, to say that not in spite of how we started with the movie Idiocracy and complaining about our population and our humanity in relation to that movie, the point is that not like everyone is not dumb. They're not dumb, even though we think there's more people that are dumb than not. But again, just to kind of temper that a little bit. What it does mean, though, a huge number of adults may struggle with complex documents. Right, you can, like people that graduated from college, man. You put a grant application in front of them, and it may make them stammer a little bit. Math reasoning, you kind of talked about that, and you're a very intelligent person, and math's not your favorite, but you would seem to be pretty adept at adaptive problem solving, right? Breaking things down, coming up with the most viable solution. Risk versus
Most
reward,
efficient,
and then you get to work. Set up some checks along the way, review how things are going. You may have to make some adjustments, and then you're going to get back to work. That's the formula. These things matter for jobs, money, health, voting, scams. See how those two words are right back, back to back? Parenting and survival. Okay, now, Cal, I'm going to talk to you about your affliction with reading for pleasure.
Okay.
So, 2025 report on American time use. Can you imagine there's an organization called American Time Use? But they did a survey, and the research that found, I think you're going to get kind of mildly upset about this, that only 16% of adults read for pleasure on any given day in 2023. And that's roughly down 40% from 2003. Now, think about this. That time between 2003, which is right after Y2K, so we're not, like, we still got AOL, I think, back then with the
public internet was there.
But it wasn't,
some people were still on AOL.
As compared to nowadays, though.
Not even close. Not even close. We were still going through .bomb 1.
Yeah, so being able to tap into information. So as far as our ability to just have our time dominated by being on the computer, it was mostly for work. It wasn't for recreational type of stuff, right?
Right. There wasn't that kind of content unless you were looking for it.
That's why I'm saying that's probably why reading was still kind of up.
Oh, of course.
Back then.
Of course.
And now, 20 years later, and everybody's on this all the time.
Now that anybody can generate a book in 5 minutes with AI and shove it out there.
Yeah, or audiobooks and all these different things. So, but that being said, what are your thoughts on that? Because there is
it's dreadful.
Right, because
it's so deleterious.
It is, there's things that you get from reading.
Absolutely.
That are healthy.
Spelling, grammar, sentence structure, the ability to write.
Patience.
Sure.
We talked about what's the matter with waiting. So the difference between, say, seeing a movie where you get the answer to the plot in 2 hours versus reading a book, and it may take a week for you to find out the ending, right? So
I used to read a book in a day.
Oh yeah, I have that written down here. So some of the benefits of reading is it builds patience, right? You said the vocabulary, comprehension. It builds the ability to hold a thought longer than a scroll. Think about that.
Right.
Like zoom, 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 zoom.
Our memories are failing because of scrolling.
Yeah, versus, or what about sometimes you're reading a book and then you read through a passage, right? And then you get to a paragraph and you're like, whoa, let me back up.
Yeah,
and read
I missed that.
again.
I missed something.
Yeah, I missed something. And so you back up and
my ADHD does that to me all the time.
And so if deep reading declines, deep thinking has fewer reps.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, that's a good statement right there. If deep reading declines for our population, then also our deep thinking as a society has fewer reps.
Absolutely. And not only that, the quality of, modern literature versus what we were forced to read. I mean, 1984, Animal Farm, Atlas Shrugged,
They made you read 1984?
all of it in
Wow.
1984.
Wow.
And I knew then.
What was that like?
It was shocking because I knew.
I don't think I wrote
I was
that
already
until
on the computer then.
I didn't read that till the 90s.
My ex was it wasn't required reading for him. He was 11 years younger than me, and we were sitting in the house on the couch one night, and something came on TV or he said something, and I said, "Jesus Christ, that's Orwellian." He goes, "Orwellian, what's that?" I said, "What?"
Oh.
I said,
That would get your attention.
I said, "You've never read 1984?" He said, "No, what's that?" And I said, "Oh, get in the car. Get in the car." We went straight to Half Price Books. I bought him a copy and I said, "Do not come out of the bedroom until you're done."
Hilarious. I could see you doing that.
And he
too.
came out like just pale faced and just,
Well, it's kind of like I remember too, like 1984, and then
he was in computers,
within 10 years. So you think about a couple of parallels. You had 1984, and then you never seen the movie V for Vendetta.
I did. Oh, I did.
See, and so I saw that, and you have all the screens and just the whole kind of.
They've been they've been
programming
telling that story
Yeah.
in film for decades, since it came out pretty much.
And there was the original, right? And then there was a remake of it. So which one did you have him watch? The original or the remake?
The original.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
That was trippy. Then with the romantic couple, and they couldn't talk, to each other.
I don't have a lot of memory of it. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But
Well, they had to be secret about it, and they knew that they were being recorded.
that- right.
Right. So anyway, fascinating stuff. And if you haven't read 1984, you guys should read 1984.
Oh.
But what do you think about this line? If the brain is a muscle, scrolling is potato chips, and reading a book is leg day.
That's an interesting,
Right?
interesting comparison.
It is. I like it though.
But yeah.
because it starts with if your
Yeah,
brain
it's
is a
junk
muscle
food versus working
you're
out. No
Scrolling,
question.
that's a potato chip, but reading a book is like saying I got leg day today. It's a true workout, for your
Exactly.
brain. I like that. I like that
do
a
too.
lot.
I do too.
Okay, so let's go into scholastic education scholastic education versus public intelligence, right? So school performance, your A's, B's, and C's, and D's, and F's, and stuff like that. That's one layer of a performance that we go through. But public behavior is another. And so can someone, I already know the answer to this because I'm probably one of them. Can someone be smart but publicly foolish?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
No. So what makes that okay? Right? As long as they...
It
Like-
depends.
Because you've been around me enough, you know that I can kind of be a little goofy.
I don't think of you as foolish, though. Foolish to me is a very specific thing.
No, I can be foolish. But playfully
But
foolish.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you're
playfully
not
foolish.
being stupid. You're just kind of goofing around.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes,
that's a
that's
whole
me.
different thing than foolish.
You're talking about decisions.
Yeah, I'm
you're
talking
talking
about-
about decisions. Yeah.
Just asshole behavior for the sake of being an asshole.
Yeah. And I have probably went through that phase too, but much longer before, since a long time before
I've
you
never
met
done
me.
that.
Before you met me, yeah, I was talking to Dre today about some of the stuff. He's like, "What? You did what?"
Right? Right?
And I'm like, I'm not saying I'm proud of it. I'm just saying that's part of my story. Okay, now can a society have advanced technology and still make low quality decisions?
Oh, clearly.
Right?
Clearly.
That's what we're talking about today. Are we losing intelligence or losing the habits that make intelligence useful?
Both.
Explain, Lucy.
I think that we're not only is the information that we're being fed causing a decline, I think that ask the question again.
Are we losing intelligence or losing as
the
a
habits. Yeah,
society,
yeah.
or
And-
losing the habits that make
then-
intelligence useful?
Absolutely, we're losing those habits because like we're letting our screens tell us what to think instead of looking at the screen and looking at the information and considering, well, how do I feel about that? I wonder how other people feel about that. I wonder if that's true. Let's check some facts.
Yes,
Like, taking it more than just what's being shoved down your throat.
And I have some questions that are helpful to ask. Like I think I did it in I'll have to check the tape.
Okay.
But I think I did one of the examples of, instead of just continually being, say, argumentative with the person, is just like, well, why do you think that?
Yeah.
Just why do you think that? And then genuinely be curious.
Be curious, yeah.
Not like, why
do you
come
think
back
that?
with a comeback.
Right.
But to like genuinely see, because I think that the more that you're able to understand opposite points of view, the more equipped that you're going to be to debate or to offset a point of view that you may not necessarily agree with. You're going to have the receipts, to it if you're just going off the cuff.
Right.
But if you're taking in information, and then also if you're taking enough information, who knows, maybe taking in that information and being curious about why people think something different than you actually may change your mind or
Absolutely.
your disposition.
Absolutely.
to
See, most people
something.
aren't open to having their mind changed.
Why not?
I don't know.
That doesn't.
I don't know.
like, yeah.
That drives me nuts.
Especially if you happen to be wrong about something.
Exactly.
Why would you want
and
to
can
keep
be proven wrong?
Why would you want to keep going
Why
through
would-
life?
I don't
continuing to be
get
wrong?
that. I
Yeah.
never understood that.
Yeah. And also vice versa, if through proper conversation, debate, curiosity, if you happen to be right, then you can help the other person by properly going through it and not, getting on this emotional roller coaster with them, because like it's a transference of energy, right?
Absolutely.
If I start getting upset, or like if like you're I've been around you enough to know that you're just having conversation, you're
Sure.
making points,
Sure.
right? But if I start like getting into an emotional fervor, now you got two people, and then the odds of one or both people coming away
De-escalating,
or going away from the conversation upset,
Sure.
instead of just like, man, that was a good talk.
Yeah. See, when I
sometimes-
get that way, it's more my passion than emotion. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when the minute that
yeah.
conversation's over, I'm back to fine again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I don't sit and stew and hold
That doesn't help.
I don't do that. Like, I may be in like we were talking at the pizza place last week, and I'm all grit teeth.
Oh, that's right.
But it was certainly not directed at you.
You were being passionate.
Yeah, it was, but it's not like I'm not like upset inside. Like I'm triggered at the moment about whatever we're discussing, but I'm not like churning about it. And then
Yeah.
once the conversation's over, I'm not going over it in my head.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm into it for the moment. It triggers, whatever triggers me is something I feel strongly about.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make my point a little more strongly,
Yeah.
but it's never ever directed. It can come off as aggressive or angry, but it's never ever directed at the people in the conversation unless it's directed at them and they'll know.
Oh, I knew
You know
that.
what I mean?
I knew
Yeah.
that. I was just saying. Sometimes,
Like, we're in public.
Just like, yeah, they're thinking like, what did that guy say to her?
Was that his wife?
All right, so let's see. Do I have this here? Yes. I'll save. There it is, right there. Save a little. Saves me a little editing right there. Let's do the lightning round here. So we're gonna do some rapid hits here, and I want you to say if you think these are a smart tool, or if it's a dumb habit. Right. So the first thing is, what do you think about AI doing your homework? Is that a smart tool, or is that a dumb habit?
That is so stupid.
It is. I think so.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I mean,
you can use it for research to get information, but
Yeah.
you shouldn't use it to get the answers.
Right. And of course the schools it's a big issue in the
yeah.
schools.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, at all levels, right? So who was it the other day? I think it was Australia. Australia, the country Australia, makes it illegal. And this is going to be interesting how the kids find a way around it, because you know how
You know
kids
they
are.
will.
You can't have a social media account unless you're 16 or older.
Wow.
It's good.
I think that's great.
I think it's great too. I'm just wondering how successful it's going to be, because you know the kids.
oh, of course.
I mean, it's illegal for us to have a beer until we're 21. And what happened there?
it might be a little harder now. They've got a lot more control over,
But I think it's a good step.
I think it's a great,
as far
it's
as
a great
laws go.
idea.
Sometimes the lawmakers think that if you make a law about something, people are going to stop doing it. That is not the way
That's
that
so
it works.
stupid.
It's not the way it
so
works.
stupid. That
right?
just gives them the ability to legally make money from it.
But that being said, I do like that law.
Yeah, I do too.
I do too. Okay, so smart tool or dumb habit when somebody only reads the headlines.
It depends. It depends. Because I do that. Like I'll check headlines. Like I don't take the headline as the article or the information. I use it to trigger whether or not I'm interested in the story.
You're kind of like vet the
Yeah,
headline
yeah.
vets whether you want to go
Yeah,
and
but you
and check
shouldn't
into
you
it
shouldn't
anymore.
read headlines and then think you know anything about
Yes,
whatever
that's-
it is, and then
that's
go
the
out
point.
proclaiming.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Smart tool or dumb habit, watching documentaries instead of reading books. It's kind of a shortcut.
I'd say it's if you do both in combination, you're a powerhouse.
Right?
If you do one over the other, I'd rather people be watching documentaries than, fiction,
Yeah.
produced stuff. But even then, documentaries are biased. They're manipulative. They show you what they want you to see and feel. It's
Right.
they're not always
Yeah. What was that? Tiger King?
just purely yeah. Like they're not
That's
just
hilarious.
purely documenting the truth of what's going on. They're edited and
Exactly. Smart tool or dumb habit, getting news from influencers.
oh fuck no.
Yes.
I don't get anything from influencers.
Smart tool or dumb habit, arguing in comment sections.
Oh, it's dumb. It's fun, but it's dumb.
Yeah.
It's so
Sometimes they
dumb.
deserve it.
Sometimes they deserve it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because
Sometimes they deserve acknowledgement
right.
and
Good, yeah,
and ridicule.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's just correction. Like, look, dude, you're wrong. You're just fucking wrong.
Yeah.
And the amount of people who double down when you do that and prove like links, information right there, it shocks me how triggered people
Yeah,
get.
I
on
know.
that.
That happens from time to time, and my default is pretty much hey, thank you for that. I wasn't aware
Absolutely.
of this.
Yes.
It totally puts a different perspective on.
Yeah, it makes me think differently.
Yeah.
And I can change my mind in an instant.
I don't know how many times too that like if you have that approach and then it's so disarming, the other person's ready for a fight.
Right.
They don't even sometimes know what to say.
Sure.
But now what about taking screenshots instead of having conversations?
Oh, terrible.
Like, yeah.
I mean, how many
it's
times do you take screenshots
like
and then
how
never go
busy-
back?
How busy are you?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Smart tool or dumb habit, Googling symptoms at 2 a.m.
Bad idea.
It's like,
Bad
go to
idea.
sleep.
Yeah. I mean, I can do that because I'm a night owl and that's peak time for me. But normal people, I would not recommend that.
All right, block 3. Let's talk about some public idiocracy. So we're going to talk about the media, how people like attention. We'll talk a little bit about confidence and the anti-thinking economy. So the attention economy, let's talk about that. So we're surrounded by tools that are designed to capture attention, not build wisdom.
Oh, of course.
Right. So the Pew reported in 2025 that 53% of U.S. adults at least sometimes get news from social media. 53%. Wow. Now you think about
wow.
that, and here I'm convinced that a big, huge reason, and we've talked about this before, is because of the the destruction of the media that encompasses TV, radio.
The consolidation, the monopolization of it.
Yes.
There's only five or six outlets now.
So because of that, there has been a direct correlation with people just not trusting the shit they're saying.
Finally, thank God.
Yeah. And so then that leads to people looking for their news and looking for their information outside of those controlled mediums. And that means the internet. Now, that's not a bad thing. But when you are taking things at face value on Facebook, X, without doing your due diligence and research and going through sources and stuff like that, that's where people get in trouble.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
And so the social media is not automatically bad. If
No.
you get your news from online, that's not automatically bad. And I have to say, a couple years ago, if somebody said that they got information online, there was a little bit of just like, well, from where?
Right.
You have to find out where,
Right.
Because even again, the mainstream, it doesn't matter. I mean, if there's
Right.
an
The
online
main-
thing,
yeah,
they
the
are
mainstream
biased.
doesn't-
They
right.
have their own kind of story and their own agenda and stuff like that. So you have to kind of wade through that. But it rewards speed. It rewards outrage,
Oh, no question.
right?
Absolutely, it does.
And sometimes it rewards people that are just certain they can read something without even checking into it. Man, they go to bat like it's gospel,
I know.
and it's all over the place, right? So, but I just look at that stuff. I try not to comment.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll start and then I close it. I'm just like, fuck you. You're just not worth it.
But them getting the news from online also it rewards their emotion like quicker.
Yes.
Right. Because and especially with the algorithms and stuff like that. So because they're feeding their predisposition and their confirmation bias and the echo chambers and all that stuff that's on there. And so it can make people feel informed before they are actually informed. Like, listen to that. Only getting your news from social media can make you feel informed before you're actually informed. Mm-hmm. And I think a good, back to the TV, a habit that I do if there's something going on, because sometimes, man, I'm detached for like days at a time.
Yeah.
And then just like, oh, what's going on? Oh, okay. And so I'll go to.
So you don't have like a nightly TV routine? Yeah.
I'll go to all of them, and I'll note what they're all talking about, and then I'll note like what they're not talking about. Like, why is this one station talking about this, and then they're not all talking about this? Because if what they're talking about is true, they should all be talking about this. So why are they not all talking about it?
Right.
And so then
Why are they all talking about it?
Yes,
It's been scripted.
Same thing. And so it's interesting stuff though when you do not have a loyalty.
Right.
And so again, I've been doing this for 20 plus years.
Sure.
Especially since the Hunger Games franchise come out, because you think about that metaphorically. Have you seen that movie?
Nope.
Wow. Okay, so in there, Donald Sutherland is the president.
Oh, wow. I love
Right.
him.
He's great. So there's another assignment. Do you like Jennifer Lawrence?
Don't know who she is.
She's an actress. She was. It's kind of like when she first got started. She was young, and now she's.
I know the name. I just have no clue.
You've seen her. She's great. I like her. And so anyway, she was in that, and so metaphorically, there were districts. Like everybody came from a district, right? Instead of a zip code or a country or state or whatever. And then so once a year, they would have this big, huge lottery. And then each district would have one, what do they call them? Pledge. One pledge
Okay.
that would have to go to battle.
Okay.
So just like different countries send their armies to go to battle, right? For their district, stuff like that. And it was to the death, type of thing. So there's the entertainment, kind of a Running Man type of contest, survival of the fittest, whoever comes out on top. And Woody Harrelson's in it. You like Woody?
I'd love Woody.
Woody's cool in this.
I would love to smoke up with him. Wouldn't that be fun? Him and McConaughey.
I'm not going to say no,
Holy
not
shit.
to that. But anyway, it's kind of like, again, so when I watch these things, whether it's a debate, election, these guys, it's like, to me, a Hunger Games, and whoever it is, they're a character. So it could be Pelosi, it could be Speaker of the House or whatever. They're just the character. And so it helps me, not to get too emotionally involved.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this confidence problem. So remember back episode 42, what's the matter with fools?
Uh-huh.
So let's kind of have that as an anchor here, where how confidence problems, because again, you can be confident but incompetent,
right?
Because you're overconfident.
Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yes, thank you. Good job. And so confidence now is often mistaken for credibility. And again, I could name off a bunch of politicians, that they're just loud and they've got, they when the camera's on, boy, they're in character and stuff like that. But they do not, they're not helping their credibility at all. People who speak in absolutes sound more convincing than people who understand complexity.
Right.
And that's really what we're doing here, right? We explore nuances all the time. Kind of in our moments. Sometimes there's like, well, I don't agree with that. Which makes our show
I
fun.
love that, yeah.
Right, and we're sincere.
So few people do that in regular conversation, and I'm always I am always ready for the deep dive.
Yeah.
Most people just are not.
No, it's fun.
And,
it is.
I can't
it's
stand
like an
surface
exploration.
conversation. Yeah. Like I want to dig. I don't care what it is. Let's dig deep.
Yeah.
And people just don't care.
And if I have something misconstrued, then I want to
be straightened out. Yeah.
Through conversation.
Yes.
If
only not to look like an asshole the next time it comes up and I say the same stupid thing and I'm wrong.
Yes.
That's the only reason I correct people. It's not about me. I'm not trying to get some kind of self-aggrandizement. I'm right and you're wrong. You need to correct. No, it's so you don't perpetuate the error and look stupid in front of somebody else.
And we're going
who's going to judge you that way.
And we're going to talk about that in a little bit up here. And so, but back to the episode on fools, the term "I don't know" it has become culturally underrated.
Yes.
Like I say, I don't know a lot. Kind of like this little escape hatch. Because once you claim that you do know, then you're going to be held to the accountability as an expert. Right. But if you can
that's why I will say when I don't know something, that's why I can't stand getting into arguments with people over certain things.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But
I like that.
But what I was taught was this, or what I've always thought.
My information was this.
Yeah, I've always thought this. Yeah. So I don't know where
Let's compare.
learned it.
To me, it's a comparison. Yeah. It's like, show me yours, I'll show you mine. Yeah. Let's figure this thing out together. It's not about like, I don't understand that kind of ego. I've never understood that.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not like that.
Maturity, self-esteem.
I guess.
Stuff like that. But the smartest sentence in the world might be, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I love that. I've actually really started using that a lot more thanks to you.
I'm rubbing off on you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Because that's a really good one. Because I have quite a bit of certainty. Like I know what I know, and I'll take anybody on with it.
Right.
But what I don't know, I have no problem saying.
Yeah.
I don't know much about that, or this is what I do know.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like help me understand.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I heard. That kind of thing, and help me understand. Yeah, like all of that.
So now pretend you're in public life, right? So you're a representative, you're on city council, or state assembly, or something like that.
Could be plausible.
So let's talk about idiocracy in public life.
Oh God.
Okay. So comment on how people that are public figures use slogans to replace arguments.
Oh, that you can actually watch that happen. That is the freakiest thing ever. There's clearly an industry surrounding
like
talking
all these
points,
consulting,
teaching people how to answer deflectively.
That's it.
They don't ever answer the question. Like I have seen this happen because I don't watch TV much. I don't see it very, as often. But I recently I have seen I guess because of the primaries, people were campaigning. So when I did catch stuff, it would be some of that. And I can't get over how many times they were asked a direct yes or no fucking question. Well, when the committee did this and when we went over, like, go off on a completely different tangent, and the stupid reporters let them. That's what makes
Right.
me mad. Is the
Yeah.
reporters let him get away with it?
Yeah, and
Instead of
to
nailing
me,
them.
it's spineless. If somebody
It's-
asks a yes or no question, and I can only imagine.
And you
because
don't. I mean, you can go off on your tangent, but give your answer first. Yes, because. No, because.
That's what I was just getting ready to
Yes.
say. That's what I was just getting ready to say.
But when you
Give
immediately
them the
deflect, I know
answer.
you're a piece of shit. Like, I
And
know
right,
you're lying.
yeah.
I know you're skirting.
You're
you're-
like a smooth politician, you're a smooth criminal. That's exactly right.
And that
I
makes
feel
me dig deeper.
I feel the same way.
Anytime anybody does that, that makes me really start scrutinizing.
All right. So, idiocracy in public life. What do you think about? Makes me think about the last general election. What do you think about vibes replacing facts?
Please.
It's like, get out of here.
Get out of my
like
face.
You've lost
Get out.
from the beginning.
You have no idea what you're
Yeah.
talking about or
Yeah.
what you're doing or why.
yeah.
Vibes.
Vibes. Word salads.
Yep.
Not saying anything. Let's see. Idiocracy in public life. What do you think about conspiracy replacing curiosity?
Oh, no. Curiosity is always, even with conspiracy, curiosity should always be your first step.
Yeah. Now, conspiracy. If this way, I think too. Conspiracy 100 years ago. I don't think that word was in the dictionary.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
yes.
They didn't have a word for conspire?
It's
let
like
me look at
yeah.
it.
See when that
Wow.
word originated.
That's interesting.
Or I think what it may be once it was more meshed with politics, it was a way for them to have this
To demonize
derogatory
people.
term
Absolutely. For anybody
people
who disagreed
that-
with them.
or people that wanted to check into something. Then they're a conspiracy theorist, which was a negative derogatory term to discourage people from critical thinking. And so that's something that I'm like, I could believe that. I could believe that. So even if the word, of course, the origin of the word's been around for hundreds of years, say, the incorporation of it into the dialogue in
Oh, the English word appeared in Middle English in the 14th century.
14th century, okay. And it was two or more people working together.
Conspiriace, meaning a secret plot or unlawful agreement. It came through Anglo-French and Old French from the Latin conspiratio. The Latin verb conspirare literally meant to breathe together. Together, spirare, to breathe. It could mean agreeing, acting in harmony, or plotting together. An even earlier English-related form, conspiration, existed in the early 14th century before conspiracy became the dominant form. So the term was not created recently. Its roots go back to ancient Latin in roughly the 1300s.
Awesome.
Conspiracy theory is 19th century.
That's what it is
Yeah,
then.
it's the phrase appears in English.
Theorist.
Yeah,
right.
the phrase appears in English by at least the 19th century with documented uses well before the creation of the CIA. The common claim is that the CIA invented the term, but it's not supported by the historical record.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
But the main point is that
it
was
came into the
something-
zeitgeist.
Yeah, that's been
in
brought
the,
in
pretty
the
much
last,
in the 70s
I
is when it
saying
started.
in the last 50
yeah,
years.
because it
you know,
became
for sure.
obvious. It became so fucking obvious.
Right. Watergate.
Oh yeah, the Warren Commission.
Right.
You know.
Oh,
serial killers.
JFK assassination.
JFK assassination.
Okay, so now what do you think idiocracy in public life when outrage replaces problem solving?
Oh no.
God, man,
No, that's the worst thing you
I
can
like
have
so
happen.
no respect for
No.
people that just like complain, but then they don't have any viable way of doing something
Exactly.
about it. Like
It's like,
come
so
up
what
with
do
some ideas. And if you can't come up, that's what we want you guys to do. Like get together with your enemy
Exactly.
and say, hey, we got to figure something out. Like, why don't we do this where both of us come up smelling like roses instead of just throwing thorns at each other all the time? I can't stand that.
I can't stand that. I'm the first one to break that down. I'm like, okay, got it. Now what are we going to do about it?
Right, exactly.
You know, like all of the, I can't stand that because I have solutions. Like if I'm bitching about something, I have a better way. And if I don't, I'll say so. I'm just venting. But it drives me nuts when people just complain, and then don't want to do any. I'm like, well, here's what we need to do.
Right.
Let's do this.
I think maybe they're just not qualified, and that's all they have in their quiver. is to be able to bitch and criticize.
they're just consumers.
Yeah. And
They expect everything to just be handed to them or told what to do. I don't get that.
Which leads to the next thing, idiocracy in public life, where, again, they get in, maybe they're not the brightest bulb in the batch, and so they rely on consultants. And they have the funds to pay consultants. And so there's not a lot of difference between consultants and influencers, right? So you got influencers on social media.
There is.
You got, well, hold on, follow my thought.
Okay.
So you have influence on social media, right? And then you have consultants, okay, that they give them proposals, plans, and then the people, whether it's an election or whatever, or whether it's rolling out a train, the consultants become influencers.
Well, of course, they're paid for their influence
because of their supposed credibility,
expertise,
right?
of course.
But then in application, right, the consultants make mistakes just like the politicians would have been in the beginning if they were going on just their own instincts.
Not only that, they get in cahoots with them and then start manipulating shit
right
in the client's favor. I watched that happen in
blaming
IT.
other people
and then blaming other people
when things
or
go wrong.
Purposely obscuring things. I came across so much of that. Like I told you once before, I fired myself from an IT contract because of that. I could, my ethics wouldn't allow me to collect $50 some an hour to have meetings about meetings to make meetings.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not what I do.
Right.
That's not my skill set. I mean, I can do that, but I was a secretary for years. I don't do that anymore. I'm an IT consultant.
Yeah. You didn't want to be a leech. You didn't want to leach off of something.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I like to be effective.
Yeah, and it drives up the cost of things too.
Everything, and that's my heart. That's the hardest part I have with all of this is the fact that people don't think about the layered costs that increase the price of every fucking thing we buy.
They're like, I got mine. That's all I care about.
Exactly.
I got mine.
Exactly.
So they can't think about the long range effects
or the collective effects.
Final thing I have here is idiocracy in public is when there's a public servant that puts performance replacing character, right? So let's say
they've all done.
Yeah, you go into it and it's kind of like proverbial selling your soul to the devil, and you're this person that you were maybe forthright, good, decent person. Then you get involved with an occupation.
Your agenda.
And you get involved with an occupation like that, and you have to sell your soul to the devil, right? And so that's why I never wanted to be put in that position, because I would probably sell my soul to the devil.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't.
I'm just teasing. But you can't. It's kind of like we say, okay, so all these guys with the power and the money and stuff like that, not as many, but there's females that have power and money. And sometimes after seeing what us men have been doing for over time, they can be worse.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, hold my beer.
Absolutely.
Because they got the power of the vagina too.
That's right. Respect
It's a powerful combination.
You guys have been fighting it the whole time. We're about to take over. Get the fuck ready, because you're going down.
So let me ask you this question. What if the real dumbing down, right, that we're kind of hitting on today, is not IQ, but the dumbing down is for our tolerance for complexity?
Yeah, that's a big point. That's an excellent point, because I think that's the key. Like everybody wants
we can't
the
handle
easy button
it anymore. Yes,
or the one big answer. There is no one big answer.
Yeah.
There is no one way. There is one conclusion. There is one destination for things, but there are multiple ways to get there, and that's where we run into trouble. Is insisting that it has to be this way, or it has to be that way, or it's this or that, or some things. Yeah, absolutely. You have to do it in a certain order, a certain way, in certain steps. We know that, but most of things in life, especially things that are natural in nature, just natural things that we didn't.
It's kind of like
manipulate.
You got the point A to point B, right? The straight line, but that's not the only way to get there.
Of course not.
It's actually the most rare way to get somewhere is a straight line, because you have obstacles in between there, and you got to go around, you got to go up and down and stuff like that, right?
And I don't know where we got the idea as a society that was supposed to be easy or comfortable all the time.
Yeah.
Or that we didn't have to improve ourselves and evolve our skills and our knowledge and our capacity to understand and deal with life moving on. It's like, people get born and, go through their little early life and kind of get stuck there. It's like they graduate school and they think they're done.
Oh man.
Like I've never understood
just the
that.
beginning.
I am like I'm like a knowledge whore. Like
Right.
I'm always taking some kind of class, always trying to learn something new.
So let's talk about some theoretical causes of maybe why, again, our dumbing down with the systems that we have in place. Some of the theories, what do you think about, and I think we hit on this already, so what do you think about a possible cause of the dumbing down is because of decreased reading?
Oh, absolutely. No
I was
question.
reading comic books when I was like 8 years old.
I could read it too.
Well, comic books?
No, not
Yeah,
streets. I
Archie,
started
yeah.
with street science.
Yeah. But I just saw the other day that the town I grew up with, our public library, was closing. They're tearing it down.
Did you
And
see
I'm
the
like,
Did you
I
see
was
the big
actually
law
like,
library that they removed all the books and you can't get into it anymore? It's all online. This is scary as fuck.
Oh, like a self-help law?
No,
that you-
no. This was it Stanford? It's like one of the big schools. And I'll have to look it up, but I just saw the thing yesterday or 2 days ago, where I mean, the guy was in the building and there was nothing, just an empty
Wow.
room. And
So somebody took all the books, you're saying?
no, they removed them and put them all online. So now all of that information is manipulable.
Oh, I see what
This
you're
is
saying.
the
yeah.
scary thing with all of this.
I see what you're
this
saying,
is this we really need to be careful of this,
Right.
because it's already happening. I mean, the Mandela effect bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That's pure. That is pure injection. That's not real. Like that. Like they are fucking with. Clearly, they're screwing with shit. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we still have physical products that show the reality, and they're trying to insist that no, it was always this, because they've just been able to delete it from online. So that is very, very
You're saying, so
frightening.
you're saying don't let them burn
Do
the books.
not
Yeah.
let them get rid of the physical media
Right.
ever.
Right. Now, other theories that of why, of course, our attention span and things like that being dumbed down is fragmented attention. We talked about that. I mean, I could definitely say that my attention span, I have to consciously be saying, okay, I'm
I'm going to focus on that. Yep, I do too.
I need to
have
be
to.
present.
Yep.
Otherwise, like I'm listening and I'm doing other things.
Yep.
And then they're not, sometimes my wife will say, are you listening to me? I'm just like, yeah, I heard what you said. She's like, what did I say? And then I'm like, oh, it's like being a little kid again.
Yep.
You know, and I'm just like, you said this, and it's just like, I'm a little nervous when that happens. So, but if I wasn't listening, that's when I say, I'm sorry, you're right.
Oh, sorry.
I
Yeah,
wasn't paying attention. I own it.
Yeah,
own
like
it.
if it's she's just making a comment about what's on TV or whatever, that's one thing. But if she's actually trying to tell you something or elicit information from you,
And she's been around me enough to know, like, if I'm doing something especially important.
not to interrupt.
Yeah. So screen-based childhood. That's another theory.
It's killing society.
that's-
It's ruining.
oh my
It's
gosh.
ruining humanity.
Well, what were they just saying the other day? It was about the 16. They were talking about that the law where you can't be on social media unless you're 16 or older, and they were talking about just these scary statistics about what are happening to kids. They're
Brain
so
rot.
detached.
Brain rot.
Their social skills, acting out. I mean, just all of these things that are past any kind of educational component.
Oh yeah.
Now, what about weaker civic/common knowledge? So, for example, it seems like from even history, like, did you have to like learn the preamble to the
Of course.
Constitution?
I grew up in Philadelphia. I had to
yeah.
read the Constitution.
See,
I've
we
read
did,
it cover to
we
cover.
did the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And now
We went and visited
I'll
it
see some
every
of
year.
these interviews that go across beaches, college campuses, and stuff like that, and then they're just like, "Who did we declare our independence from?" And they're like, "Wasn't it Mexico?" They just this basic
Those
stuff.
man on the
It's
street
just-
interviews.
Yeah,
Oh, those are
and it's
dreadful.
just like so sad that. I mean, we used to have to, like in geography, we took tests for every capital of the state.
Of course.
Every state, the
course.
capital, what's, They don't know that stuff these days.
And like the fact that like nobody seems to be thinking this is an emergency. Like they don't care. They're like, oh yeah, haha, whatever. You don't need to know that. What the fuck?
Yeah.
What?
That's what makes us scared when we watch movies like Idiocracy.
Oh yeah. And then we wonder why the rest of the world is just laughing their asses off at us.
Yeah, they. It seems like the people that are here for the World Cup are like all the foreigners and stuff. Have you seen the Norwegians?
No.
Oh my God, those guys are freaking awesome. They're doing stuff like they'll be in the airport and there's like a bunch of them on the escalator and they're going up the escalator. When they're looking down, they're doing like the rowing.
Pretending to row.
Yeah, and they're doing it in the stands, singing our songs and stuff like that. And so it's just like, okay,
I've heard that they are shocked at we as a people.
yeah.
Like,
they're like, because what they've been told, they're like,
what they
Americans
see,
are
a bunch of
assholes and
idiots, a
stuff
bunch
like
of
that.
assholes, but,
and
we're really not. And,
We're not collectively, like we're
No.
we're the nicest, most giving people on the face of the earth.
Absolutely,
No doubt
absolutely
about it.
open. You know, and
One of my neighbors called and said, "Hey, like there are a couple of young girls, right? And their mom's a client of Darcy's. So they call and said, hey, there's this guy out sleeping on our lawn. Like, what should we do?" Darcy's like, Grady's putting his shoes on. So
yeah,
I'm going out there and I'm ready to,
Whatever.
say, hey, dude, you can't be sleeping here, type of thing. But before I go out there, I grab a bottle of water.
absolutely,
Just a human.
of course.
Just decency thing.
Yeah.
Just like, because I'm already going to have to displace him. But I went out there, he's gone already.
Oh.
But
yeah,
just
you didn't want to.
we're nice.
You weren't against him. You wanted to help him, but you just couldn't have him on the property. Absolutely.
That's it.
Like I have, I'm a professional product reviewer for Amazon, and I get deliveries pretty much every day. I have a cooler in my front foyer filled with waters and snacks.
yeah, for the delivery person.
For the delivery people,
Good for
and
you.
it has a little thing on there. I thank you guys so much. I
Todd.
I appreciate you so much. Please help yourself. And
They love you.
they love me. My
Absolutely.
Amazon boys love me.
Yeah.
And I love
That's
them.
good.
I'm so appreciative. I
They'd be
could
like,
never do what
I
they
don't
do.
have to go
I
buy a
tip them every once in a
7-Eleven
while,
because I have a delivery
and they don't
at
have
Kel's
to pay
house
for
today.
it.
Yeah.
They don't have to pay for it.
I
'cause,
love it.
They don't make nearly enough money.
You feel me on that.
Oh,
You feel me on
absolutely.
that.
I'm like hospitality central. Like I always want to,
Yeah.
feed people and give them food or whatever. Smoke them up.
That's what we're supposed to do here.
I think so too.
All right,
I feed
so
my neighbors once a week.
Other theoretical causes for this demise, is credential distrust, right?
Oh, sure.
Overconfidence. We talked about that. The copycat,
Dunning-Kruger, yeah.
the copycat
yes.
episode. Remember? And then we have a convenience culture. You talked about the easy button. Isolation and loneliness is another thing that may be contributing to us
Big time.
not being ambitious about becoming
Absolutely.
better.
No
and
motivated.
thinking,
Not motivated. If you don't have a mirror, if you don't have a witness, why bother?
Exactly.
Like
what is
that's that, and because we're not taught intrinsically to do that anyway without
happiness
observation.
is not real unless it's shared. That's what that line was on Into the Wild that I told you about.
Interesting.
The guy
Yeah.
when he was dying on the bus.
Oh, right.
The poisonous mushrooms.
Oh,
Because the again, I don't want to be a spoiler. It's a great movie. You should see it. You'll like it. He went through a lot of challenges and stuff like that, and just incredible moments with him and nature by himself. Nobody else was there.
Yeah.
Just magical stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then he come to just like this was just me. I would have been happier if I was able to share this with somebody. So
interesting.
so yeah. All right. So a counterpoint now to all of these things is some people are more technically skilled than ever. The problem is uneven because we may be smarter in some narrow ways and weaker in others. And so I don't know. I kind of like, I don't know what I think about this next sentence here. What do you think? We may not be getting dumber across the board. We may be getting sharper at shortcuts and weaker at wisdom. There's some truth in that.
There is some
I'm
truth
feeling some
there is
palpable
there is
truth
some
in
truth
that.
in that. There is some truth in that. We're learning efficiency, shortcuts. Bill Gates has used to say, I always give my hardest task to the laziest person because they always find the most efficient way, and the easiest, most efficient way to do it. And it's that's the thing. And but then there's a flip side to that too, though, is some things you just need to do the work. You know what I mean? You need to
can't replace it.
No.
You have to have that hands-on
There's no shortcut.
experience. Yep.
There's no, you just have to go through the process. And I think we've lost a lot of that understanding and appreciation for the process. We just want the end result, the instant gratification. And when that happens, you don't learn anything. When you just get handed whatever you want, there's no, to me, like, knowledge and information and, wisdom are that's what we're here to do. Like, this is all about data, this whole construct. And, the fact that so many people can just ignore it just boggles my mind. And I'm not talking about like, information, like on the internet or, that kind of thing. I just mean experiential information, like just the information you get just from being alive and just from interacting. And, people don't pay any attention to that.
Yeah. I think it so much depends on your environment. If you have parents that are, say, just pretty simple people, that are just trying to make it through, and, they don't really have, much going outside of your food, shelter, and clothing, and living a decent life and things like that. There's not a lot to push them. Then I think that gets transferred potentially over to the kids. Now, some kids, then they see how their parents are, and they're just like, I do not want to be them.
That was me.
And then, right. And then they just say, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do things, I'm going to experience things and stuff like that. And in your case, you had, again, a very, I
had a boiling water situation.
Yeah, it was like there was this discipline, and
strict.
She drove you.
Very strict,
what I mean?
Yeah.
Although it was,
and I hated their lifestyle. Like, I didn't want to live their lifestyle.
I didn't like your mom. I have never met her. God rest her soul. But I didn't like her. I don't like hearing about her misguided techniques.
Yeah.
That, you know what I mean? Because
especially since she should have known better.
To hear how it affected you, right? And but you can't do anything at this point except for understand what happened.
Oh, absolutely. I fully integrated it.
And how can you use the experience to grow and then help other people?
Exactly.
That may be going through or have experienced the same thing and stuff like that. So there is a silver lining.
No question. No question. It took a while to get to,
for sure.
To that point. I mean, what,
because you need somebody else in your life that you can process these things with and help.
And I had to
help
do it
drive the same car.
alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that was very hard. I didn't have anybody to bounce shit off of. And almost everybody I was surrounded by loved her, exalted her, thought she was the queen bee. So even there, I was lost. And the ones I did try to tell refuted me.
Yeah. So.
No, that couldn't be. You must have misunderstood. I lived with the bitch for 50 years. It's just, please don't tell me my experience.
I understand. All right. So now what's the verdict? Thumbs up or thumbs down? About winding up here. So Idiocracy, the movie, was a warning, not a comedy.
That's correct.
I know, I feel the same way. Thumbs up or thumbs down? People are getting dumber.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and again, not necessarily their fault as much of it's the system that they are born into and that they're raised in and stuff like that.
They're not educated that they need to get out of it.
And we're talking again, there's a difference. Like we're talking about, again, basically the three things: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Right. So if they don't have a strong control on them, that's kind of like the definition of what we're going through. That being said, it doesn't mean they're not a smart person.
No.
Right. It just means that they have been properly trained.
Right.
In the environment or the systems that they're in. What do you think about this? This is kind of like the antithesis of that. We're not dumber. We're just more distracted.
No, I disagree. We're definitely more distracted, but I also think the quality of information that's being...
Two things can be true at the same time. Okay. What's the verdict on this? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Reading less makes people easier to manipulate.
Oh, no question.
I would agree.
No
100%.
question.
Yeah. Read them books, people.
Yep.
Thumbs up or thumbs down? What's the verdict? Social media made everyone overconfident.
No.
No?
No. It went the opposite way for some people.
All right. What about expertise still matters?
100%.
I agree
1%.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just being able
More
to,
than ever.
just being able to get yourself to where you can trust that expert.
Right.
Right. Because there are people that claim to be experts,
Right.
but in application, they prove not. Oh, we love this one. This has been around forever. Common sense is not common.
Right.
Thumbs up or thumbs down? AI will make this worse before it makes it better.
Yes. No question. It already is.
And you're into
It
that.
already is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thumbs up or thumbs down? What's the verdict? The loudest person is usually not the smartest person.
True.
Usually.
Not always, but
Not always. Sometimes the loudest person is hilarious and very entertaining. I just saw that at the rodeo.
oh, I bet. I bet.
The clown was on fire.
He
was great.
Oh, I bet that was great. We have a saying in Texas that the guilty dog barks the loudest.
Oh, okay. I like that too. Yeah. Especially if there's a collective group
And somebody's
of
being
people.
accused, the one screaming and pointing at other fingers the hardest is usually the guilty.
So now here's some things. These are matters of fact, and this is how to avoid becoming part of the idiocracy. National student data show that as we pointed out, national student data shows recent declines in reading and math for grade 12 students. Adult skills data show that many U.S. adults are far below the proficiency levels in literacy, numeracy, and adaptive problem solving. Reading for pleasure has declined substantially over the past 2 decades. Social media is now a major news pathway for American adults, which changes how information is packaged and consumed. Listen to that last part. They know that we're getting our news from social media, and they're changing how the information is packaged and consumed, which, Kel just come out and say, they're manipulating things, right? Lastly, the Flynn effect and its possible reversal are debated, and evidence varies by country, the age, demographics, and measure. The safest conclusion is environmental. Skills and habits are affected by what society rewards. So those are matters of fact. Toolbox today, Kel. 3-source rule. Before believing or sharing to others online, find one primary or official source. Right? So now you use Google AI. If I remember, like if you're searching for something, that's your initial, type of thing. But, and then one credible news reporting source, right? So now this can be subjective here. One credible news reporting source. So for example, if you're say a red team member and somebody quotes something from CNBC, that's not going to be credible to the person that you're making the argument to. So be aware of, say, somebody's biases and predispositions, and then try to find the source that they're going to find credible, not you.
Right.
So multiple sources, and then when you're trying to convey or sway somebody to your way of thinking, then make sure that you credit the source that that they're going to say, oh, okay, well, if it came from this news source, then that's probably right. You see what I'm saying? You're going to help yourself in your persuasion.
Well, and the whole thing talking about the decline, here, it's not just us. Do you remember? I don't know if it was so prevalent out here, but when I was in school, they always held up Sweden as the
Yeah, they're
crowning example of everything. Sweden
Yeah,
did
'cause
everything
they're
right all
neutral.
the time.
Yeah.
I mean, just, they went paperless. They, like all this stuff. that
didn't
we
have
were-
to pay for their health care.
We were constantly compared to Sweden with all their scores, their education, and this and that. Sweden has declined 28 points in literacy, 29 points in math.
Wow. So
Just since 2000.
so that's probably that global organization.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
they
the
were
OECD.
probably tied into that for sure.
But it just shows that how it's our fault. They imported Westernism. Like Stockholm went like total lefty,
Right.
Americanized, and like a lot that's happened to a lot of them where, Europe used to be like the last bastion of we're not going to change a goddamn thing, even if it's
Right.
falling down around us.
Oh, and they have.
And they have.
Yeah.
They have. It's been the whole, I mean, you can see the whole agenda. I don't understand how people don't see what the fuck is going on. And
They're
like
busy.
screaming. Well,
They're busy trying to survive and and all that stuff. They keep us so busy. It's hard for us nowadays to get together and
no,
talk
they
about
don't
stuff
keep
like
us
this.
busy. We keep ourselves busy thinking we need to comply with them.
Yeah.
Until we,
Yeah.
as the 99%, stop and say no more, it's going to continue.
Yeah.
We have the power.
Right. But I'm telling you, that's easier said than done.
Clearly.
Because you've got food, shelter, clothing. You've got people with, say, kids to take care of and stuff like that. So, like, thinking about contemplating something like that if you were by yourself, right? Sarah Connor, type of style, versus if you're
And I realize my situation and framework is much different because I've been alone my whole life.
than most.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so,
than-
so theoretically, yeah, it's like that cartoon ants, that one scene where the big grasshopper is telling all the little ants, the one thing that they fear the most is if these guys get together, we're done, type of thing. So you're talking about that, but again, it's a lot.
That's why
more
the
difficult.
technology escalation has
go.
gone so fast, because they knew that.
Yeah.
And they wanted to prevent it.
For sure. So the third source rule, so we got, so come up with a primary or official source, one credible news reporting source, and one opposing or skeptical view.
Sure.
Point for years, because let's say you have a point of view, and then you divulge before they even come up. Now the devil's advocate point of view is this over here, so bring that up in the beginning, and then you're in a way kind of cutting their knees out, because that objection's already
It's
taken
gone.
care
Like
of. It's
you're
gone.
you're already presenting to them that you understand their point of view and still disagree with it.
There you go.
There's,
There you go. So tool number 2, read past the headline.
Yeah.
Before reacting, read the full article. Here's another thing. When you're doing this, check the date. How many times have you read something and you go, shit, this thing's from 3 years ago.
Right.
Here's another good one. When you're reading past the headline, check who is benefiting
Absolutely.
from this article.
Always. And always follow the money.
Yep, and check what's actually being claimed. The 10-minute complexity workout daily. Read 10 minutes, something that's longer than a post. Write one sentence summarizing it. That's always a good thing.
Oh, that's a great
writing
idea.
it doesn't take long. It takes like 2 minutes.
It
Like you
helps
read-
cement it in
Yeah.
your
Like putting it on paper.
absolutely.
And then ask yourself, what did this change or challenge? Right. So you read something, and then, so what did this change or challenge? It could be pertaining to the article. It could be something pertaining to you. Just depends on what you're reading.
Or change, challenge, or confirm.
Yes. Yep. And then tool 4, you're going to like this. Say, I don't know out loud. Just say it. I don't know enough yet.
Yeah.
I need to check that out.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. That sounds viral, but is it true? Type of thing. And don't outsource your brain. AI, search engines, social feeds are tools.
Yes.
They should help you think, not replace your thinking. I'm going to say that again. AI, search engines, and social feeds are tools. They should help you think, not replace your thinking.
Great point.
That's the good stuff. All right. So Idiocracy today. What final comments, thoughts, stuff like that?
It's a hard one for me because I've seen it coming for so long, and there's just not a goddamn thing I can do. I can only tell people so much, give people, so much perspective, but They have to take the action. I mean, as one person, there is nothing I can do. And that is so hard for me to accept.
Just talking about it.
Yeah, but I mean, that died with Rush Limbaugh. That era. I mean, we should have been taking action by now, and we're doing nothing. More of us are getting on and talking about what. I'm like, I don't want to hear another fucking word. What are we going to do? What's the plan?
Would you, if there was a bill in Congress that would, if not dismantle, but at least restructure the Department of Education, would you be in support of that? Mm-hmm. Me too.
I don't know that it would do any good. It needs to come out of the bureaucratic realm.
That's what I'm saying.
A lot of this stuff does. A lot of it needs to be.
We're getting it more in the state's hands.
More in the state's hands. More into independent committees that do not benefit in any way from their position there.
Independent agencies,
oversight bodies. We need governance.
Yeah.
I mean, if nothing more. I mean,
in the old days, holding the schools to performance. Right? And the schools that aren't performing well on a state level, then let's investigate. Like, what are you guys doing? So here's the number 1 state over here, and here's the number 50 state over here, and let's compare and contrast, and then find out the differences between the two. And then the number 50, the things that are good ideas that they aren't doing over here, we need to incorporate. Yes,
absolutely.
We need to start doing that.
Collaborate, coordinate, communicate.
It seems like it would be somewhat simple.
Duh. Fucking duh. And that's what, again, this is what just shows you more glaringly that there is a complete agenda.
They don't want it
very
fixed.
Concerted agenda going on against us. And until people fucking get that in their skulls and believe it, nothing will change.
Well, I think what you're talking about is something that I agree with Mr. Carlin. What he says is they just want
it's a big club and you ain't in it.
And they want people just smart enough to run the machines and just say yes sir, yes ma'am, and stuff like that. That's what they want. So, all right. Well, thank you for listening to episode 52 of What's the Matter podcast show. Today we use Idiocracy as the framework to ask a serious question wrapped in a ridiculous package. Are we being dumbed down? Or are we just building habits that make clear thinking more difficult? We looked at school performance, adult skills, reading habits, social media, confidence without competence, and the difference between intelligence and wisdom. And the answer is not hopeless, but it is a warning. And if we don't train attention, curiosity, and discernment, the dumbest voice in the room starts sounding like leadership, just like in the movie Idiocracy. Big thank you to our sponsor, World Matter Incorporated, and the creator and producer of the show, Big Bongo Productions. We're going to be back next Wednesday, Kel. Same time, same location here in the Matterhorn studio for episode 53 of What's the Matter with Tradition? What do established rituals give us? Why do we continue them? What does it take to start or stop tradition? We're going to do some exploratory conversing as we always do, and I can hardly wait, Kel. Until then, be vigilant, be kind, and always remember that what you say truly matters. This is G-Man for Kel. Until next time, see ya!